Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Talk Data to Me. I am your host, Shahana Muhammad, and today we are going to get into who owns your data, AI, digital laws, and the fight for privacy. And I feel like this is so apropos because we need to discuss what are the actual laws and policies, if there are, that are surrounding AI. I have so many opinions about AI. I am team AI, but I'm also team disrupt the system if the system is not working for the people, because in essence, it's supposed to work for the people, especially when you need people. Anyway, so let's make peace and not disrupt any systems, and the way that we can do that is by being proactive people. So that's the point. Now, every time you click, scroll, or even just speak by your phone, and we've all had those moments. I want some ice cream, and now all of a sudden you're seeing ads for McDonald's ice cream that ain't never got no ice cream. Somebody's watching. Mm-hmm. And your data, the website that you visit, the posts that you like, the products that you buy, even the time you spend staring at a video, all of that data is being collected and it's being stored and run through algorithms. Here's the thing, those algorithms don't just analyze your behavior, they predict your future actions. That's why it's so dangerous. What you'll buy, what you like, the products you buy, even the time, what you'll buy, what you'll watch, maybe even who you'll vote for. So today on Talk Data to Me, we're breaking down how AI and big tech collect and use your data, and the patchwork of laws that exist to protect us, which is super, uber important. Or don't. The laws that aren't being implemented. I know I read something recently that said, I want to say it was either Congress that wanted AI to be unregulated for 10 years. 10 years. Most importantly, the glue to all of this, how you can get involved in helping to shape the future of digital rights. You can get involved in that. It's not just enough for them to have conversations about policies and laws and acts. If we, the people who these laws, policies, and acts are going to affect, are not actively being involved. So here's how it all works. Think of your data like digital breadcrumbs. Every tap on your phone, every location ping, every cookies, every time you accept cookies when you go to a website, those are digital breadcrumbs that track back to who you are. So companies take these breadcrumbs and use them to create digital profiles. Age, interests, income level, even your emotional state. And once that profile has been created, AI will then step in. So AI's job as a machine learning model then uses that data to make the predictions. That's why TikTok knows exactly what video to serve you next. It's why Amazon seems to read your mind about what you need. And it's why your credit score, insurance rates, and even job applications can be silently influenced by algorithms you'll never see. So, the RAND Corporation has a great report that calls this the privacy gap. AI moves fast, collecting and inferring at an exponential pace, while our protections move in a straight line because they high key don't even want to pass anything that protects anybody. And that's the problem. That's the danger zone, that It's moving exponentially. The growth of AI, the structure, the infrastructures, all of that is moving rapidly. But then the enactment of policies and laws are moving slow. It is intentional. This isn't just about seeing ads for some items that you bought. It's about power. Imagine you're denied a loan, not because of your income, but because an algorithm decided that your neighborhood makes you high risk. Or imagine you're scrolling on your phone. You're just scrolling, minding your business, and you go to a news page, and the algorithm keeps you locked in an echo chamber, never showing you the other side. This is how Donald Trump won the first time, because the Democrats were in an echo chamber that was not producing accurate information. I've grown up Democrat my entire life. And when I heard some of the things that Trump was saying, according to Democratic news sources, I said, this man is crazy. Then, me being the person that I am, well, let me go and watch the full interview and realize that 99.9% of what he was saying was being taken out of context. This is how you can get highly intelligent people to, I'm not saying Donald Trump is a white supremacist or anything like that. I'm not ascribing any of those titles to anybody, but that is a part of this country. That is a part of certain parties, right? I'm not oblivious to what happens, but this is how you can have highly intelligent Black people mixed in with people like that, because these echo chambers are created when in reality, yes, you are leaning in a certain direction, but it is your responsibility to be as unbiased as possible, even if you're leaning in this direction. I know that that sounds oxymoronic. I am team AI, but I'm also pro laws being put in place. That doesn't negate my values. That doesn't negate my personal opinions. However, if I set out to do something specific, it's my responsibility to report as accurately as possible and with as much integrity as possible. Now, the European Union fined Meta hundreds of millions of euros for violating privacy, as they should. Clearview AI scraped billions of photos from the internet to build facial recognition systems without consent. These are not what ifs, they've already happened. Like, another company literally used a celebrity's likeness in an ad, and they went to Meta like, um, this is not me. So this is why this conversation is uber important, because at the end of the day, nobody should have their face or their likeness being used without their consent, or at least a little kickback. You using it to make money. Why can't I make some money off of it? And it's me. So here's the part where we ask, who's protecting us? In the US, there's no single federal privacy law, right? Instead, we've got a bunch of messy, like, patchwork, and everything is kind of all spread out. So COPPA protects kids under 13 online, COPPA. Cloud Act lets the government access data even if it's stored abroad. And then there are state laws, California, Colorado, Virginia, Texas, each with their own rules. And so that's typically what you'll find happening in most instances. You'll see a lot of laws happening and passing on a state level, which is good, but ultimately, if it's a law that benefits someone, it's being passed in California, but it benefits someone in New York, Let's get it to a federal level. Clearly, there's a problem. So then we need to take this a step further. So a proposed bill called the American Privacy Rights Act could finally set a federal baseline, but it hasn't passed yet. It has not. And meanwhile, Europe has gone further with GDPR, which gives citizens rights to access, delete, and control their data. And in the Digital Services Act and Digital Markets Act, Europe is like setting the standard with that. So other countries are catching up. Kudos to these other countries. India passed Digital Data Protection Act, and just last month, Italy enacted an AI law that covers privacy, child protections, and oversight. So here's the truth. The laws are always a few steps behind the technology. That is a fact. They said that it would be a decade before they can come out with some like super intelligence. Lies. So they move fast, they break things, and they cash in. Now, how can you and I get involved? So this is where the story shifts from them to us, which is, I like this. Advocacy. Groups like Electronic Frontier Foundation, the Center for Democracy and Technology, EPIC, the Algorithmic Justice League are fighting for digital rights. You can donate, sign petitions, and just let people know that these organizations exist. Second, public comment. Whenever the FTC, the FCC, or even your state proposes a new digital law, there's a period where anyone can weigh in. Your comment becomes part of the public record. Third, personal action. Use privacy first browsers, block trackers, adjust your phone's do not sell my info settings. I mean, these are small, but they go a long way in the long run, I feel. And finally, civic power. Call your state reps. Push for algorithmic oversight boards. Some cities are even experimenting with algorithmic audits where citizens help decide how systems are used. Now, as Harvard Law Review puts it, the future might not just be regulation. It could be co-governance, citizens working alongside lawmakers, and companies to keep tech accountable. So, for my last and final story, my honorable mention is the No Fakes Act, and I just learned about them, and it's the full name, which is actually an acronym, stands for Nurture Originals, Foster Art, and Keep Entertainment Safe. So here's a front row seat to the development of this act. It has not been passed yet, but the hope is to get it passed. The No Fakes Act would give every person greater legal control over AI generated replicas of their voice or likeness. Yes, under the draft bill, if someone copies your face, voice, or image without your permission, you could demand its removal. Yes, platforms will be required to respond, kind of like the takedown system. And individuals could hold bad actors liable. Yes, assuming the infringer knew or should have known the use was unauthorized. So here are some potential setbacks. How do we balance protection with free speech? Very valid question. In my mind, it's not free speech if you're using somebody else's likeness. You're taking their speech and their ability to advocate whether or not if they want to participate in what you're selling or whatever it is their likeness is tied to. The bill includes exemptions for news, documentaries, commentary, satire, and parody. With those exceptions, come with conditions to avoid misleading people into believing a deepfake is genuine. Some fear overreach, that it could chill creative expression or stifle generative AI's beneficial use. It hasn't passed yet. It's proposed, not law. But both creators and platforms are watching. YouTube, for instance, has publicly voiced support, emphasizing that the legislation aims to balance innovation with accountability. So, why include it? Because the No Fakes Act is emblematic of the next frontier of digital rights. Who owns your digital self? Who owns you? If it becomes law, it could reshape how identity, likeness, and voice are protected in the age of AI, which would be a great step in the right direction, right? We want to maintain ourselves as much as possible. Now, let's shift gears. And before we shift gears, if you are a creator or an entrepreneur, if you need sponsorship and would like to have your brand featured here on this podcast, make sure to email thesouthshoreai@gmail.com for all sponsorship opportunities. Now, Control Alt Dream. Let's dream a little. What if instead of big tech owning data, you owned it? What if your browsing history, your habits, your attention could be stored in a data wallet and companies had to pay you to access it? What if citizens got a seat at the table to decide how algorithms are trained, tested, and deployed? This would be considered co-governance. It's data dividends. It's the possibility of flipping this system on its head. The real dream? A future where your data works for you and not against you. So here's the takeaway. Technology is changing the stakes of privacy and identity. We know that. The laws are inching forward, but the progression of the technology is skyrocketing by. Sometimes reactive, a lot of times behind, honestly. But in that gap, opportunity opens up for public action, innovation, and new norms. So it's a trade off. It's a trade off. I feel like if we stay active, and there are more voices in this space, there are more people to give insight, there are more people who advocate, then we'll have a greater chance at seeing a co-governance, right? I'm just so baffled by how people really just don't be caring. Like, your future is at stake. I just read something today that talked about so many federal employees who complained about food shortage from like kitchens and different things like that because they're out of work. AI is not playing. It is not playing. It is being deployed. Is being deployed. Now, whether it's the GDPR, state bills, or proposal like the No Fakes Act, the future of your data, your face, voice, choices is not just being decided in Washington or Brussels. It's a conversation you're literally being invited to join. Nowhere in the history of ever, nowhere in the history of ever have we honestly witnessed the decline of one system, the building of a new system, and we actually get to engage in passing laws and rights and policies for this new system. Now, if you want a deeper dive, check out the digital legislation and AI source packet in the description, completely free. completely free. The caveat is your email. So it's not really free. I get your email. And then I get to see you and send you more free stuff. And I promise I won't stalk you. I promise I won't. But I do want you to be informed. I do want you to be aware of the great and the terrible that AI potentially presents. That's it. I want you to not just be aware, but I want you to be informed and I want you to be proactive. It has always baffled me how disconnected people in society can be from the things that are going on in the world that affect you. Okay. And I've also added information, a deeper dive information. You can also reach out to your rep in your state in regards to the No Fakes Act to sign up for that for those who want to watch that act more closely. Again, my name is Shahana Muhammad. Make sure if you made it this far, this is it. We here, we at the end. If you've made it this far to the end, comment no fakes. No fakes. No fakes, because we're not doing it. If there's going to be anything, it's going to be co-governance because we are a proactive people. We are people who understand that we have a voice and we can utilize our voice, especially if you're going to be utilizing my information, my likes, my interests. I need to get a little coin. I need to get something. And if I don't get something financially, at least I get a say. So you're getting something. But if you've made it this far in the video, like, comment, and subscribe. And this is Talk Data to Me. I'm your host, Shahana Muhammad. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and most importantly, may your digital self always stay yours.